25,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter, in strife. In 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year in the life? How about love? How about love? How about love? Measuring love. Seasons of love. Seasons of love.
525,600 minutes. 525,000 journeys to land. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure the life of a woman or a man?
In truths that she learned, or in times that he cried, in the bridges he burned, or the way that she died.
It's time now to see now. The story never ends. Let's celebrate, remember a year in the life of Farine. Remember the love. Remember the love.
Measure your life in love.
Seasons of love. Seasons of
How do you document real life when real life's getting more like fiction each day? Headlines, breadlines blow my mind, and now this deadline, eviction or pay. Rent! How do you write a song when the chords sound wrong, though they once sounded right and rare? When the notes are sour, where is the power you once had to ignite the air? We're hungry and frozen, some life that we've chosen. How we gonna pay? How we gonna pay? How we gonna pay last year's rent? We like candles. How do you start a fire when there's nothing to burn and it feels like something's stuck in your flue? How can you generate heat when you can't feel your feet and they're turning blue? You light up a mean place, eight screenplays. How we gonna pay? How we gonna pay? How we gonna pay last year's rent?
Don't scream, Maureen. It's me, Joanne, your substitute production manager. Hey, did you eat? Don't change the subject, Maureen. But darling, you haven't eaten all day. You won't throw up. You won't throw up. The digital delay, well, it didn't blow up exactly. There may have been one teeny tiny spark. You're not calling Mark.
How do you stay on your feet when on every street it's trick or treat? And tonight it's trick. Welcome back to town. I should run down. Everything's brown. No, I feel sick.
Where is he?
Get busy.
How we gonna pay? How we gonna pay? How we
Allison, baby, you sound sad. I don't believe those two after everything I've done. Ever since our wedding, I'm dirt. They'll see I can help them all out in the long run.
The music ignites the night with passion and fire.
Farine, I'm not a theater person.
The narration crackles and pops with incendiary wit.
I'll never be a theater person.
Zoom in as they burn the past to the ground and feel the heat of the future's glow. Hello? Maureen, your equipment won't work. Okay, alright, I'll go! How do you leave the past behind when it keeps finding ways to get to your heart? It reaches way down deep and tears you inside out till you're torn apart. Rent! How can you connect in an age where strangers, landlords, lovers, your own blood cells betray? What binds the fabric together when the raging, shifting winds of change keep ripping away?
Draw a line in the sand and then make a stand.
Use your killer's spark. Use your guitar when they act tough. You call their bluff. We're not gonna pay. We're not gonna pay. We're not gonna pay. Last year's rent. This year's rent. Next year's rent. Rent, 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 rent. We're not gonna pay rent. 'Cause everything is rent.
So I remember seeing Rent in the theaters, and I remember being really blown away by the opening scene and completely captivated by everybody on the scaffolding and like in New York City, and just like this complete sense of community, this artist community. And I remember moving to New York City and almost needing to like fulfill that feeling that I had gotten when I first saw the film. Like I had to go out on the fire escape. I had to go downtown and like go into the dives and like find that artist underground. Like Rent really introduced the artist underground to me.
The first memory that I have with Rent, I'll say I was in junior year of high school. This was way before I was really into musical theater at the time. My mom bought the Rent DVD and she used to play that thing until the DVD wore itself out. And at the time, I didn't really know what Rent was. I didn't know what it was about. I just knew it was a musical that my mom played excessively. And so one day she went to work and I decided, you know what, let me just see what this Rent thing's about. Because, why not? That's all she plays in the house anyway. So I went up to her room, put in the DVD player, and it wasn't even like past the second song. And I literally was just jaw dropped, staring at the screen just in awe, because I could not believe, like I looked at the screen and I'm like, I get it. Like the storyline didn't even cross my mind at that point. I was so drawn in by the music that it was in that moment I fell in love with musical theater. And Rent, that's my first and biggest memory that I have with Rent. Rent will always be the show that began my love for musical theater and singing.
One song, glory. One song before I go, glory. One song to leave behind, find. One song, one last refrain, glory from the pretty boy front man who wasted opportunity. One song, he had the world at his feet, glory in the eyes of a young girl, find glory beyond the cheap colored lights. One song before the sun sets, glory on another empty life. Time flies, time does. song that rings true, truth like a blazing fire, an eternal flame. Find one song, a song about love, glory from the soul of a young man, a young man. Find the one song before the virus takes hold, glory like a sunset. One song to redeem this empty life. Time flies, and there's no need to endure anymore. Time dies.
Rent really changed the musical theater, at least to me, by opening up that door, letting me in on the fact that you don't always have to sound pretty. You don't really have to have good technique all the time. You can let your emotions drive you. You can let your power and your ruggedness and your raw emotion lead you forward, and that will give you a strong performance in the same way. You're not typically taught that in school. You're usually taught prim and proper technique, breath support, backspace, resonance, yada yada yada. But with Rent or any rock musical, you can let that go. You can really, you know that it's in your back pocket, but you can let your emotions lead you forward and let the audience feel the same emotions that you're feeling inside.
I mean, Rent changed the game in a myriad of ways. It brought kind of contemporary music in more of a way than had really ever been done. I mean, you had Jesus Christ Superstar with kind of that progressive rock sound, and there were modern music styles in some shows, but bringing that kind of edgy, right up there, hard on your sleeve, melodrama rock into musical theater really opened a gateway to so many things, and I really don't know that we would be where we are with like a Next to Normal or a Hamilton and all these different kinds of musical styles, or Hadestown, without Rent kind of starting us down the path.
Rent's an interesting, it's 25 years old, and we've had plenty of time to think about Rent and what works and what doesn't work, and I know everybody in musical theater has their opinions of the show, and what I think is so beautiful about it is it was the first time for me, and I think for a lot of people, that you saw something where it wasn't just that you could see yourself on stage. Everybody had a window to see themselves on stage in Rent, but it was the fact that you could see yourself on stage in a world where everybody belonged. There's plenty to say about the structure of Rent. I mean, it's got a perfect opening number where every character is introduced and then the main plot is introduced. It follows the format of musical theater to a T, which is, I mean, you wouldn't expect that considering it is a rock opera, but it really does, and Jonathan Larson clearly loves the format he's writing in. He may have written a rock opera, but he wrote it so strictly adherence to the format of musical theater, and that's wonderful to see, and it's wonderful to hear. But the thing that I think really made Rent stand out was the first time that everybody was different, and that was good. Everybody was equally important, and it was a world where all of the freaks belonged, because we all are freaks, every single one of us. And Rent has a spot for every single one of us, and that's, I still don't know of a show that's pulled that off since.
I've had favorite song in the show is Take Me or Leave Me, because the divas are belting their faces off, and I think it's a perfect song about love and ego.
Favorite moment in Rent is the very last "No Day But Today." And finale B, when we're all sitting on the table belting out the message we've been giving this entire time, really letting it sink in for one last time as the lights fade down. I think it's such a powerful moment. Every time I was performing that, I felt it so deeply, and I was so happy every single time I let that fly out of my mouth.
Hands down, my favorite song in the show is Another Day. Those lyrics. I can't control my destiny. I trust my soul. My only goal is just to be. There's only, yes, only tonight. I mean, every lyric in that song just rings deep, deep, deep inside me. And it is just, I think, the pulse of that entire show for me.
Think you are barging in on me and my guitar, little girl, hey, the door is that way, you better go, you know the fire's out anyway. Take your powder, take your candle, your sweet whisper I just can't handle. Well, take your hair in the moonlight, your brown eyes, goodbye, good night. I should tell you, I should tell you, I should tell you, I should. No! Another time, another place, our temperature would climb. There'd be a long embrace, we'd do another dance, it'd be another play. Looking for romance, come back another day, another day.
The heart may freeze, or it can burn. The pain will ease if I can learn. There is no future, there is no past. I live this moment as my last. There's only us, there's only this. Forget, regret, or life is yours to miss. No other road, no other way, no day but today.
orgasm, pain, perfection, muscle spasms, chiropractors, short careers, eating disorders.
Adventure, tedium, no family, boring locations, darkroom, perfect faces, ego, money, Hollywood and sleep.
Scene of love, emotion, mathematics, isolation, rhythm, power, feeling, harmony, and heavy competition.
Anarchy!
Revolution, justice, screaming for solution, forcing changes, risking danger, making noise and making bleed.
The flag is lesbian stripes, cross-dressers still. To me, to you and you and you and you. To people living with, not dying from disease. Let it be among us without sin. Be the first to condemn. La vie bohème, la vie bohème, la vie bohème. Anyone out of the mainstream? Is anyone in the mainstream? Anyone alive with the sex drive? Get on the wall. Are we all? The opposite of war isn't peace, it's creation. Woo!
Yeah!
La vie bohème. Viva la vie bohème!
Well, Rent took up 2 years of my life, so there were so many moments that took up those 2 years, so many moments where I thought, like, this is the ultimate favorite moment with Rent. But now looking back on it, I think the one that sticks out to me the most still is finishing a show, going to the stage door, saying hi to people, and seeing this little boy, couldn't be older than like 9 or 10, and the look on his face of just like awe at what he had seen and the story and what he had gone through in the audience, and looking at us like we were like heaven sent. And I remember him talking to me and saying that he wanted to be up there when he was older, and he wanted to tell stories like Rent. And I remember telling him, you can. And you know, in 10 years, I'm gonna be seeing you on that stage. And his eyes got so wide, like he had no idea that this sort of power was inside him. But like, that's the whole point of Rent, is to carry on that message and carry on that dream for artists in every generation.
Although I've never done a production of Rent yet, I do have a funny moment of when I saw the show with my mom. So I was in high school and I surprised my mom with tickets to see the show on a Friday night. And I remember we went into the theater, you know, I'm thinking this is just gonna be like, oh yeah, we're seeing a show on a Friday night, you know, the normal mother-daughter date. And the first song, like Rent, comes on. And, you know, as soon as you hear that, my mom, she must thought she was at a rock concert. Like, next thing you know, she's screaming, yeah! And I'm like, we're gonna get escorted out this theater because she loves Rent so much that it made me happy seeing how enthusiastic and happy she was. But also I was just like, oh my gosh, she is literally like jumping up and down in her seat like we're at a concert. But like you do kind of feel like you're at a concert when you're, you know, at Rent, because, you know, the second Angel comes out on stage, the audience is going nuts and everything. But even with the opening number, I mean, this one over here, my mother, she was living her best life. And to me, it brought me so much joy, but it also cracked me up because she just could not contain herself.
Your mind.
sin? I make lists in my sleep, baby. What's my sin? Never quit, I follow through. I hate mess, but I love you. What to do in my impromptu, baby? So be wise, cause this girl satisfies. You got a prize, but don't compromise. You're my lucky baby. Take me for what I am.
I control
Who I was meant to be.
a snob yet over-attentive. A lovable droid.
Take me, baby.
I know you're protected.
That's it. The straw that breaks my back. I quit. Unless you take me back. When what is it out there? Can't live without nothing.
Take me for what I am.
Guess I'm leaving. I'm gone.
I think the ultimate message of Rent is to live life to the fullest and live it with love. I think with this show, you're seeing a bunch of storylines. People dealing with HIV/AIDS, people in chaotic relationships, chaotic marriages, people in relationships that really weren't with other people, that really weren't accepted at the time, people dealing with homelessness, squatting, all of that fun stuff. So I think through it all, though, the primary theme of the show was the love that this makeshift family of misfits kind of just put together.
Darling, we're everything. Live in my house, I'll be your shelter. Just pay me back with 1,000 kisses. Be my lover, I'll cover you.
Your door, I'll be your tent. Don't cut much baggage to lay at your feet. Sweet kisses, I've got to spare. I'll be there and I'll cover you.
I think they meant it when they said you can buy love. Now I know you can rent it, but at least you are my love. Oh, life, be my life. Just let me on, I'll be your blanket. Wherever, whatever, I'll be your coat. You'll be my king and I'll be your castle.
Oh, you'll be my queen and I'll be your boat.
I think they meant it when they said you can't buy love. Now I know you can rent it, and at least you are my love. On life, oh my life. I want to discover something as true as it seems.
So with 1,000 sweet kisses,
If you're cold and you're
with 1,000 sweet kisses,
you gotta run me for lonely with 1,000 sweet kisses.
worn out,
I'll cover you with 1,000 sweet kisses. I'll cover you. Oh, lover, I'll cover you. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, lover,
Music theater, art in general is the reason we are able to cope with so many things going on in our life. You know, a lot of people have different mediums and ways that they handle trauma or happiness or any kind of emotion. But theater is an escape and a medium for thousands and thousands of people, not only watching, but doing. And that is why even in our homes, even when it's uncomfortable, even when our neighbors are so mad because we are singing at 10 o'clock at night, we have got to keep theater alive no matter what. We have to fight to keep theater alive.
There's no world in which we can't have storytelling and music. If you don't have that, I mean, we've lost. It doesn't matter. And COVID or no COVID, there's not a day that I don't have the desire to be a part of it. And I think that sometimes it's easy to forget why we're here and why we do this. And, you know, Rent existed through adversity. Some of the beauty of Rent, because it's not a perfect show, but it was captured at a heartbreaking moment in time.
Without you, the ground thaws, the rain falls, the grass grows. Without you, the seeds root, the
doing? Don't breathe too deep. Don't think all day. Dive into work. Drive the other way. That drip of hurt. That pint of shame goes away. Just play the game. You're living in America at the end of the millennium. You're living in America. Leave your conscience at the tone. And when you're living in America at the end of the millennium, you're what you own.
The filmmaker cannot see,
And the songwriter cannot hear.
yet I see Mimi everywhere.
Angel's voice is in my ear.
Just tighten those shoulders.
Just clench your jaw till you frown.
Just don't let go, or you may drown.
You're living in America at the end of the millennium.
You're living in America, where it's like the Twilight Zone. And when you're living in America, at the end of the millennium, you're what you own. So I own not a notion. I escape and ape content. I don't own emotion. I rent.
What was it about?
What was it about that night?
Connection
In an isolating age.
For once, the shadows
For
gave
once,
way
the shadows
to
gave way to
light.
light. For once I didn't disengage.
Angel, I hear you, I hear it, I see it, I see it, my
I hear
film.
it, I hear it, my soul.
Alexi, Mark,
Song
call me a hypocrite. I need to finish my own film.
You're right.
I quit dying in America at the end of the millennium. We're dying in America to come into our own. And when you're dying in America at the end of the millennium,
You're not alone. I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
I think the ultimate message of Rent is love, obviously, but I also think it's about exposing ourselves to different ways of thinking and realizing that there are different perspectives and different experiences that people go through. And so, though we don't necessarily have to agree with everyone, we have the power and the capability to still send love.
I think Rent is a great example of how music theater needs to remember to be honest and be accountable for its context. Rent is unforgivably honest about what it's trying to talk about, and that is AIDS and people living with AIDS and people not paying attention to AIDS and, you know, people losing people because of AIDS. You know, then it was AIDS, now it's COVID-19. And I think that Rent rocked the game because it unapologetically talked about a very hard topic that people were not dealing with.
Ren's message is to love. Love yourself, love your friends, your peers, your enemies, your family. Love, give love. We have an infinite amount to give, and we have an infinite amount to receive. We all want it, we all need it. We all have to give it to each other. Together, apart. Just love each other. Give into that love. Don't live in fear.
You have to be grateful for what you have right now. You know, live in the moment. Take advantage of living this beautiful life. I mean, I know it's easier said than done, no doubt. But at the end of the day, like, this is the life we have. Cherish and love those that you have around you. You know, this is the life that we have. We've got to make the best of it.
They talk about Rent in musical theater history classes. Like, it's not up for debate that Rent changed the American theater industry. It really stood on the shoulders of Hair generation before, and was one of those first kind of shows that actually looked at the generation that it was around and said, what does this generation need to say, and how do they need to say it? What is the language that they use, the musical language and the actual language that they use that connects with them, and connects with them not in a sophisticated brain first way, but in a heart first way, to try to get rid of any sort of judgment or anything like that, and just go straight for the hearts of the people that needed to receive the message. And now that's sort of understood as an essential part of a lot of musical theater, but back when Rent did it, it was revolutionary.
There's only us, there's only